the Dataverse here in this session. So anyone who is new and using the Dataverse for the first time, they can easily understand. And let's get started. So before we get started, let me just give a little bit introduction about me. So myself Dhruvin, and I'm Microsoft Business Application MVP, and I'm working as a Power Platform consultant. I'm running my own YouTube channel where I've published around 650 plus tech videos and 130 plus articles. So if you wanted to follow me on all my social media handles, this is the short URL. That is linktree/dhruvin.shah. And once you click on that, you will be redirected to this small page. And from there, you will find my YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, every account over there. So I recommend everyone to follow me on all my social media handles so you will never miss any updates from my any upcoming videos. So without having much ado, let's get started and talk about what we are going to cover during this entire session. So first of all, I will talk about what is Microsoft Dataverse and which are the features which are supported by Dataverse. Most of us knows that Microsoft Data Source is a relational database system, and Dataverse is something which is not only relational database, but it offers more than our expectation. So we will talk about all those features in detail throughout this session, and after that we will go with the practical thing. I have a very limited number of slides here in order to present. Then we will move directly for creating the Dataverse table and how we can apply relationships, and we will cover the some basic concept of business rules and all. And at last we will talk about the security concept and Power Platform data flows. So lots of things that we need to discuss. So security and data flows. So in upcoming sessions as well, some speakers are talking about the security concept in detail. So we will only focus on the basic things at this moment when we get started for the first time. So let's get started and talk about what Microsoft Dataverse is and what it offers. So Microsoft Dataverse is something which is a cloud-based low-code data service and app platform which allow you to leverage the security and connectivity of Microsoft services. Now, Dataverse is something which is something which connect the entire aspects of Power Platform. Like let's say for an example, you are creating your Dataverse data and you want to consume it into Power Apps or Power Automate or Power BI. You can easily consume it from there. It also provides the flexibility of API as well if you wanted to pull out it in your applications. Now with the standard tables and columns and ability to define relationship between the data, Dataverse was built for powerful and scalable solutions. Now we talked about this kind of definition, but the question arises like which type of functionality it provide. And at the very beginning, as I mentioned, like Dataverse is not only relational database system, but it offers more than that. Now, what are those features? Let's talk about that. So if I talk about those feature, it divided mainly on the five pillars, which are security, logic, data, storage, and integration. Now, let me just explain you in a very easy manner that what does it mean by. So security. So if we talk about the Dataverse security, it is something which is provided the authentication with the Azure AD and authorization with column level and row level security and providing the auditing functionality as well. Now this is about the security part. Now let's say we have added our data to Dataverse then, and if we wanted to implement any business logic, so on top of that it is allowing us to create the logic by using the calculated and roll of fields, business rules, different type of job. We can easily find the duplicates from our data and all. Now the question arises like whenever we are adding our data into Dataverse from any other applications, then it is also providing us the flexibility of catalog and discovery. We can easily model it and report it. So it's all about the data thing. Now once the data is there, obviously it should be stored at any physical location, and Dataverse is something which is a cloud based application and it is more scalable. So we don't need to worry about like if what if storage is increasing and all. We can always scale up our database gradually. And at last the integration. So integration piece, if we talk about, so easily it is integrated with event hub, service bus, webhook, and we easily export those data to the SQL and export to data lake. So these are the main features which is provided by Microsoft Dataverse. Now, I know still you have lots of questions that this is the theoretical part. If we can explain this with the help of practical things, so let's try to see all these features with the help of practical example. So let me just quickly open up my browser window and let me just open how we can start with the Dataverse thing. So here, let me just quickly open it. All right. So first of all, to get started with the Dataverse, what you need. First of all, let me talk about that thing. If you are in your in the tenant, if you are using for the Dataverse for the first time, basically the thing is that if you have activated your Power Apps license, first of all, you need. Second thing is that Dataverse is a premium connector. Obviously, gradually with the timing, you if the storage is full, you need to purchase additional capacity according to your requirement. And another thing that I want to mention here, like if you are starting with a new fresh environment, basically you need to set up your database first in order to get started with the Dataverse. Right, so that is the first step. Now over here I already set up my Dataverse here, so we will focus on what it offers and how many things we can achieve here. So if we open up our make.powerapps.com and go to the Dataverse section over here, we are able to see this many of things like table choices, data flows, Azure Synapse link, connection, custom connector, and gateway. So this many of things you are able to see in the left navigation. Now, in this particular session, we will mainly focus on the data flow table and choices thing. And I'm just giving you a rough overview, like what is mean by custom connector, gateway, and connection. So if we talk about like if you have any on-premise data sources, you want to connect with the Dataverse. So at that time, you need to establish the on-premise gateway. So at that time, whatever the gateway configuration would be there, we need to configure it over here. Now, without having more delay, let's get started with the first tab, that is the table section over here. So what table? If you are familiar with the CDS, earlier the Dataverse name was CDS. So it is called as a common data service, and there was a concept of entity. So table is the new name for the entity, and it is the combination of rows and columns. Now, whenever you are creating your Dataverse environment for the first time, you will be able to see two types of table. So first is standard table. Standard table are the table which are created automatically when you are setting up your database in the environment for the first time. And these are all the system defined table. The beauty of standard table is that you can customize that, like if you need to add any additional column on top of that, you can add it and use it. Also, you cannot delete any out of the box column from the already created table, so that is another thing. Also, you can create your own custom tables as well inside this table section. So basically two types of tables available, standard and custom. Here mainly we will focus on mostly the custom things. So let's get started and create our first table. So over here in the drop down, there is a filtering option provided, custom and default. So let's just filter by custom. So it is showing me the all custom tables that I've created so far. So at this moment, I've created 4 different tables here. Now, for this session, I'm not going to create from scratch table to cover up many things. So I will show you the steps, and by following those steps, you will be able to create the table. So basically at this moment, I am going to demonstrate this ticket table. Now let's consider an example of IT help desk in the organization, where every day what happen here is if anyone faces any hardware, software configuration related issue, they are generally raising the ticket, and based on that ticket, IT manager will take appropriate action and resolve the ticket. So I have designed this ticket related Dataverse table over here. Now, To create the table for the first time, basically you need to create new table and you need to provide the display name, and a plural display name will be appear automatically over here. And you just need to provide your primary column name and just need to click on create. And that is how your table will be created. Now I followed the same step and created the table ticket. Now, once you create your table, what happen here is some system columns are created automatically. So even here you are able to see there are two types of columns. One are standard column and another are the custom columns that we are creating. So standard columns are something like in Dataverse, whenever you create any table, out of the box fields are created automatically, like created by delegate, created on. Then let's say here we are able to see some another standard fields like business unit, owning team, user, right? So these are all the out of the box tables references which are created over here. You can create your own custom columns over here as well. Now by seeing for the first time you are able to see lots of fields. Now you only want to focus on custom fields. So you can easily filter out by custom option over here, and all these fields will be visible over here which I created customly. So these are all the fields I created from scratch, and I'm showing you the step-by-step process for creating the column. So basically you simply need to click on add column and need to simply provide the name of your column and select you need to select the data type for your column. So at this moment this many of data types are supported: different text type, whole number, date, time, choices, then decimal number, file, lookup, and many things, right? So these are the different type of data type that you need to create. Now here for this particular example, I have created mostly the data type with text, choice, and different type of file data type. Now, the another interesting thing I wanted to talk you about here about the choice column. So let's say for an example, category is something which is a choice column in my example. And in category, basically I have created the different category like hardware, software, VM, and configuration. Now, let's say for an example, whenever you are creating the any choice column over here, basically it will provide the choice option, and these are the all the out of the box default choices which are available as a part of environment when you are setting up for the first time. So whenever you if your requirement is something like it is fitting with your existing available choices, you can reutilize those choices. There is no such issue. And also, like let's say I'm creating some new choices over here for category. Then what happen here is it will be available as a separate choice under the choices section. So if you are going to this choices section, and if I created this category, that will be appear over here inside this section. So what happen here is like in another relational table, let's say I'm creating something another table, and at that time I wanted to utilize the similar kind of category, then I don't need to recreate. You can easily reutilize those categories over there. So that's the beauty of this Dataverse. So many like even for choices there is a concept of reusability which you can leverage with your other tables. So that is one thing. Another interesting thing that I wanted to talk about as a next part is the relationship between the data. Now, relationship is something we are all aware about, or like if you are working with the database system, mostly one to one to many, many to many, this kind of relationships are available where one table is connected with the another table. And as we all know, Dataverse is a relational database system, so it is supporting that relationship structure over here. Now, whenever you go with relationship tab for any of your table, what happen here is some of your tables has already established the relationship, and this relationship is something with the out of the box system columns that you have created. So let's say created by is the column which is created as a part of table creation. So what happen here is its appropriate relationship is already established, and let's say if you wanted to check like from where it is coming, so what you can do, simply click here and click on go to user. So you will get an idea that this created by column is associated with the user table from my Dataverse. So this is how how you can easily identify this particular thing. So for all the system defined relationship, it is providing this option. So if I go to this particular table, I'm redirected to the user table, and I will able to see all the different relationship that is being established over here, right? So this is the concept of relationship. Now the question arises that how we can create a relationship for our tables. So let me just explain that concept with one of the example which I have created here. So this is one solution which I created where I have two different table, product and product line item. So one product is like product is something which is like a master table, and product line item is something like whenever someone is purchasing something, basically the line items are added over here. And both the tables are linked with one to many relationship. So how we can establish that relationship? Let me talk about that thing. And I'm going to talk about the easiest way here. Even you don't need to create the relationship manually. Dataverse is enough to understand that relationship and create that automatically for you. So let me tell you about that thing. So let's say we all know that product is a master and line item is a child table. So I'm going to the child table first. And what I'm doing here is I'm not going to create any relationship. What I will do is I want to connect my product table as a lookup table over here. So in the add column, basically I will just type my column name product one, because this is something already created this column, so that's why it is showing me. Now over here from the data type, you just simply need to select lookup. And when you select the lookup, it is asking you the option to select the related table. So over here, you basically need to select your product table. So from these options, let's select the product table. So this is the product table that I want to provide here, and just click on done. I'm not clicking right now because I already have this one, right? Just click on done. After that, what happened here is basically we created one lookup column. So over here you are see the type is lookup. Now if you go to the relationship, what happened here is it is already created that relationship for you. Now you are able to see here this product is something which is a relationship with the product line item, right? So this is something, and this is something like many to one, like line items, many record are associated with products one record. So this relationship is created over here. Also, let's say you forgot to create the lookup column, then there is also another option, like you can add the relationship as well, like many to one, one to many, whatever the suits based on your requirement, you can simply create. And basically here you just need to provide your table name, and here you are good to set up the relationship. So this is how my pro tip here is like basically most of the time when we are defining the Dataverse model, most of the time we are taking it as a lookup, but sometimes there are such a complexity that we don't want to use lookup columns more in our data. At that time we can define the manual relationship as well from here, but this is the simplest way to create the relationship in our Dataverse table, right? So this is the second point. Now let's move towards the example that we discussed yesterday ago, which is like ticketing system that we are developing. Now I'm going to move towards the third important concept of Dataverse, which is business rule. So what do we mean by business rule and what does it offers? Let me just quickly explain you here. So sometimes you have a requirement, you want to perform some logical thing on your data. Your data is already stored, now you wanted to perform some things on top of that. So at that time you can define the business rules inside your Dataverse. So let's say for an example, in this system, like whenever the I want to calculate estimated completed date based on some formula, like whenever the ticket is created, it should be 2 days after the creation of the ticket. So that would be the estimated completed time for this particular ticket. So I want to set that date. So for that I can define one business rule. Business rule is not only setting up the value, but it does lots of things based on our requirement. So let me just quickly open the already created business rule. And if you wanted to create the new business rule, basically you simply need to click on this add business rule. And once you click on this add business rule as well, it is showing you the blank canvas like this, where you can define the different condition and you can apply the logic for your data on top of that. The second pillar of the Dataverse feature we discussed here, like on the top of data, you wanted to perform some logical thing, you can do it here. So what type of thing we can achieve with the business rule? Like let's say in your requirement, you have Dataverse form and you want to lock or unlock your field, or you wanted to show error message, or you want to set up the field value, or you want to set up some basic default value of your any of your data, then you can use it. All right. And we can also perform visibility, like based on some condition I wanted to hide specific field, then I can use this business rule. So let's just create one simple business rule. So here I just added one condition. Basically, that business rule is created on the ticket entity. So I just wanted to add a condition like if the status of the ticket is not assigned, only at that time it should calculate for the first time. So obviously when the ticket is created, it is not assigned to someone because I haven't implemented any automated way over here at this moment. So if the ticket status is not assigned, I want to set the field value. So I wanted to set my estimated completed date is equal to created plus 2 days. So that will set up that date. And once we do that, we simply need to save and activate our business rule. So most important thing, you must have to activate. If you forget to activate that thing, obviously your business rule action will not work when you are creating something on your Dataverse table. Right. So this is how the business rule work, and these are the this many of things you can do. So instead of setting up the field value, you can add many other actions as well. Like as I mentioned you can set the visibility, like or you can show or show error messages as well. So these are the things you can achieve here with the business rule. Now let's move forward with the another tabs which are available, which are view, form. So view and form are something like whenever you are creating any Dataverse table, some out of the box views are also available. You can create your own custom view as well. And it is they're very simple. Like whenever you click on any of the view, what happen here is it will provide you this kind of modern UI. So this is also something which is very interesting and recently introduced, the new UI. So using that, you can easily change the column sequence and whatever the things that you wanted to show in your data, you can configure it here. And also there is a sort by and filter by. This type of functionality is also available for us over here. So this is how the view things are working. And you can edit your filters as well, like if you wanted to add any combination to create your custom view, you can do it from here. Right. And those information will be visible. So whatever the view that you have configured, you wanted to present that into your data section, that view will be available for you over here as well as in your model driven pages. Now, form. Let's move towards the form section. So whenever we create the Dataverse table, it also create some type of forms here. So if you want to customize it, simply click on it. And now it's time, like it provide you a nice cleaner UI when you can easily define your headers and footers, or let's say this type of user interface property you can leverage, like one column, two column, and it is fully responsive. So no worries on that particular part, and you simply need to drag and drop fields and you are good to go. So this all about the forms and views. Now Dataverse is so far we have talked about views, forms, business rules, relationships, right? Now it also offers the dashboard and chat features as well for as a part of admin activity. Like if you just wanted to represent something graphically, you can simply click on add chat, and once you click on those add chat, it will open up this type of UI where you can add the different chart like column, bar, area, line chart, pie chart, funnel chart. And here you simply need to provide the columns from your Dataverse table. So let's say I'm providing the category wise count I wanted to see. So I just provide the category and summarization as count. And once I click on save, I will be able to see this type of dashboard for me. So this type of charts and dashboard we can define here. And under the data section, at last we are able to see all the submitted items over here. And over here, when we click on this add record, the same form that we have customized just now, the same form will be available for you, for the user, for the data entry perspective. And here we can add the different entries. Right, so that's all about the basic table functionality I discussed. Now Dataverse is offering more than our expectation, like it is also providing the column level security. So now we will I'm just going to give you a bit overview about the security when you are configuring your Dataverse table for the first time. So the question arises in our mind that let's say I created my Dataverse environment for the first time and adding the user, so which type of roles it is assigned to, and how it is, how that part is working. Now let's discuss those things in a short manner, so we will get some idea around the around the roles thing. But before that, let me just do one more thing here. Let me just open up this ticketing system. I've created one more solution here with to explain you about the field security concept, and then we will move forward with the all security aspects. So let's consider one example. Let me just open up my table section, and over here there is a table called salary. Let's say for an example, consider an example of your organization where account manager knows the salary of all the person, but salary is something which is very confidential thing. Like for any organization, they are not disclosing their employee salary. Now, let's say I have provided the access for this Dataverse table to many users, but I want to restrict this salary field. This is something for account manager only. They will be able to edit, or they only able to view this data. No other person from the account manager will able to view the information from the salary table. So how can I do that? For that, there is a concept called column security. So let's say I'm clicking on this column, going to the advanced option, and there is an option called enable column security. So once you enable that, meaning what happen here is, let's say here I have logged in with the system administrator user, so I have full access. So in my data section, I'm able to see all these salaries over here. But let's say for an example, I'm logging with some guest user over here into my organization, and I'm opening the same table. So let me just open it up. So here I've logged in with another user, and Sam is the user over here. And let me just filter out my table over here. And let me just go to the salary table from here, and let me just open up the data section. So here you are able to see, as a regular user, Sam is not able to view any of the salary information. And let's say for an example, if we go with, if we have configured this Dataverse table in any of our model driven solution or anywhere else, so even that time as well, it is showing us as an asterisk form. So let's say I'm clicking on this add record. So as a regular user, they were not able to submit the salary field for the records. It is disabled and locked for them. So always that column security is something which is available as a lock part, and it is totally depending upon the role profile that you have set up for your Dataverse table. And that's the next part of the discussion then that I am going to have here. Right, so this is one thing, and now let's move towards the security part and how to get started. Try to understand the basic concept of security first. So if we talk about the security in Dataverse, so basically we need to understand the term environment. So in whenever you are working with Power Apps, you have heard about the environment creation. Like default environment is the environment which is available as a out of the box manner, but you can create your own environment as well. So whenever you are creating the environment, there are two main roles available, like system administrator and environment maker. So and try to understand about this two role. System administrator is something who has the full access of the of your Dataverse thing. Like as a system administrator, you can add or remove the user or group from the environment, or you can also remove the user as an environment admin or environment maker. So as I told you, this is the topmost role that has the highest privileges. And after that, you can provision the Microsoft Dataverse table or database for the environment as a system admin, and they can view and manage all the resources that are created within that environment, and they can also define the DLP policies for the organization. So that is one role. Another is environment maker role. So maker role is something which who is responsible for sharing the app across the individual users, security groups, or to all the users across the organization. And users of groups that are assigned to this environment role are not automatically given access to the environment database, obviously, because environment database access is something which is responsible by the system administrator role. And the question arises that let's say any user is signed up for the Power Apps for the first time, so they are automatically added to the maker role for the default environment. So for your environment's default environment, they are provided with the maker role. And for any user, whenever you are adding to their environment, two roles are assigned to them: Dataverse user and environment maker. And user is something like there is a huge security role table provided by the official Microsoft documentation, and take it from there. So these are the different security role: environment admin, environment maker, system administrator, system customizer, basic user, delegate, and support user. So it has their own type of privileges. I'm not going to read this entire table, but I will try to explain you it in a practical manner so you will get a better idea. So just try to whenever you will get a chance, I will share the link. Just try to read about all of this role, what each role is doing. But let me just show this thing in a practical manner so you will get a better idea. So let me just open up my another browser window. Okay. So yes, so in order to work with the different kind of role, basically you need to open up your Power Platform Admin Center. So you just simply need to click on this Admin Center, and in Admin Center, first of all, you will be able to see all the environments. So let it to be loaded. It's taking some time to load. Okay, it's loaded. All right. So first of all, you are able to see the different type of environments here. And now let's say I just wanted to click on this default environment at this moment. And over here, you are able to see the section users. So once you click on this user section, it will show you all the users that are added as a part of this particular environment. You can also add the user from here. And now let's talk about the main thing, that is security role. So I have logged in with the SAM's account and I've shown you that that column security is applied there. So SAM is the user which is added as a normal user over here, who can fill up the form, who can edit their his own record, and just view the records. Right now, for that, if I check the security role for SAM, which security role was provided. So whenever any user is added, basic user and environment maker, these two roles are being provided to them by default. But here for Sam, basically he I just wanted to check, like that column level security is properly applied, and I just wanted to uh, give him a functionality to add the records and all. So I provided one more role, system customizer role over here. So from here you can simply check like which role is assigned to which user, and that is how as you can simply as a admin you can check all of this stuff. Now you can define your own role as well. Like let's say your requirement is something you want to create your own custom role that has the permission of only specific tables from your Dataverse, then you can define all those tables and you can define that activity as well. Now I'm moving to that particular part, so you will get a better idea that how to create roles and how that column security I have achieved, right? So for that, let me just move it over here again. So I just open my salary table. I just click on settings and click on the advanced setting. So whenever you click on this advanced setting, it will show you redirecting you to this D365 type of interface. You simply need to go here and just click on the setting here from the top, and from here just click on the security. So different type of security you can define here. Like we just wanted to configure the field security, so let's click on this field security profile. So field security profile is something like when you are for the first time, system administrator have the access for this particular profile, means system admin can view everything, edit everything, delete everything, right? Now we want to restrict some things over here, so we can define our new security profile here. So we simply need to click on new, and let's say I'm just creating one more security profile, test one, and just clicking on save. And after that I just need to define the field permission. So let's say my salary column is something for which I wanted to define that security, so I'm selecting that column, clicking on edit, and I just wanted to all as the account manager, they can create, they can update, and they can create, but as a normal user they should not able to do anything over here. So I'm just created this field permission, and from user I will add only one user. Like I'm just going here, and let me just search for my name, because I just wanted to provide myself as highest privileges. So I'm selecting my name here, select, and click on add, and that is how it will work. With my account I will edit this entire information, but if anyone else is logging on or opening that particular thing, they will able to see the asterisk over there or filled in the disabled mode, right? So this is how you can simply define the field security for your Dataverse table. So another type of security profile you can achieve. Now let me talk about another type of security you can achieve with the help of Dataverse. So first of all, I talk about security roles. So security roles is something as we discussed, like by default system admin and power app maker, environment maker, these are the two roles which are available. Apart from that, there are also system defined roles available, and to create any type of security role you can simply create a new security role from here. So whenever you are creating role, basically you need to provide like how many tables access you want to provide to that role. So let's say for I want to create one role for the mid level of admins, and I want to provide only specific tables access to them, then I can select the appropriate access that I want to provide them. So I'm just clicking on here, and the notation is provided here, like what type of access you wanted to provide to their user. And after that you can just click on save, and once you save that thing, what happen here is similar type of role will be created. And after that, when you are going to Power Platform Admin Center, and let's say if you select any role and click on manage security role, you are able to see the created custom role that you have, and you can simply select that role and provide the access to the user via that role. So this is how you can manage that level of security. Another type of security which you can also achieve here. Let me just talk a little bit about that, which will be business unit wise or hierarchy security. Now business unit is something like in an organization, let's say you have different business unit for modern workspace, AC and AI, and then for HR, for finance. So you can define different BUs, and there would be one root BU, and root BU is something which has access on all the child BUs. So this kind of permission you can also establish here. So meaning what happen here is root level of business unit will be able to see everything, but child level of business unit will see only their records. So that is one thing. Another type of security you can achieve here is hierarchy and position security. So what do we mean by that? So let's say there is one more option. So there are two type of hierarchy: manager hierarchy and custom position hierarchy. So there is a one table called position into your Dataverse where you can define different positions like CEO, VPs, software developers, senior software developers, and this entire hierarchy is worked as a part of security. And what happen here is, like, you need to provide the hierarchy depth. So like as a CEO, they will be able to view all the records, but as a part of lead developer, I will be able to see only the records in which my team manages or my team have created. So this is something you can also apply on your Dataverse table. So these are the basic security thing I discussed over here on to this part. So if I summarize this everything, how many type of security you can define? Like you can define the security at your field level. You can define the security based on the roles. So if I go here, you can define the security by roles, by field, by position, by hierarchy, by business unit. And also another thing, team level as well. Like business unit is something which is alwaysly associated with some teams, and those teams level security you can also provide. So that's the part of the security. So in Dataverse, there is a strong type of security model is also being placed at the back, so you can achieve lots of things over there. So that part is completed. Now we have more another 5 to 10 minutes. So let me just quickly walk you through the another part, which is the data flow and what it offers. So basically at this moment I haven't created any data flow, but let me just give you an overview. Most of the time in Power BI we have heard this word data flow, what it exactly do. So let's say you have already some data placed in SharePoint or SQL Server, or let's say any connector that is provided by Microsoft, and basically you want to load those records as a part of Dataverse table. Then you can create your own custom data flow here. To create the data flow, you can simply start from blank. You just simply need to provide the name of your data flow and simply need to click on create. And from here there are tons of connector which are provided. So if you have any on-premise data source, then it is fine. You have online data source, then it is fine. So for on-premise you need to set up the gateway, but for online you don't need to set up anything. Now from the different connector you can select any of the connector. It is also providing the access connector, that is really great, and that is a great news at Ignite as well. Like access connector is now provided, so most of the access user who wanted to transfer their relational data over the Dataverse, they can easily connect via this thing. And after that what you need to do is it will open the Power Query thing. So I'm not going to click on any next step at this moment, but after that you can track your data and everything. And data flow is something which will provide you the sync mechanism as well. So at specific interval you can refresh your data. So let's say you are building your Power Apps on your top of the Dataverse, and you already connected one data flow which is pulling the data from your on-premise Excel, or let's say on-premise SQL Server. Then what happen here is all the data at the centralized location in the Dataverse will be available. So you can refresh at every hour or every 2 hour or every week, depending upon your requirement. So data flow is also something which is a huge concept, and definitely in this summit some of the speaker will cover and talk about those things as well. But this is the basic idea what data flow offers to you, right? So I think I almost covered lots of the things about the Dataverse over here. And now let me just move towards the last couple of tabs over here. So Azure Synapse link. So if you wanted to connect your Synapse data source with the Dataverse, you can basically use this particular feature, and basically you simply need to provide a new link which is connected with your Azure Synapse. And apart from that, you can simply consume your Dataverse into your Power Apps or Power Automate or Power BI wherever you wish. That's makes the complete ecosystem of Dataverse. So that's it. I covered everything. Now let's go with the Q&A part. We have 10 more minutes for Q&A. So if anyone has any question, feel free to add the question in the comment section, and I will happy to answer your questions. Okay. So in the chat window, I can see many questions. So let me just go through the question, and let me just check that. Okay. Okay.
Thank you, Ruvin, for that whirlwind tour of the Dataverse. Some interesting questions being asked by the audience. So I think the main clarification is between common data model and common data service and Dataverse. Is
Yes.
a interesting dialogue that's taking place primarily because of Microsoft's branding, I guess. But yes, it looks as though the answer has been provided in the chat, providing the distinction between the common data service versus the common data model, which is the schematic, and the common data service is now known as the Dataverse, which is a series of services, architectural services that provide the Dataverse. And do you have anything to add to that?
No, I think everyone has added in a comment itself. So mostly everyone is getting that answer about that CDS and all, and it's something which is mostly as a as a Dataverse user. Mostly I started to use the Dataverse once its name turned to Dataverse actually. So I do not have the any past background which Dynamics have with the CDS. So yeah, definitely it's something which I will also check on that particular part. Another question Raz in the chat window as are added like so once we create the data flow over here, the same can be used in the Power BI service or desktop. So yes, we can use those data flow inside the Power BI desktop or service. There is a connector, Power Platform Power Platform data flows. So with that, we are able to consume that into Power BI as well. Then I create a C instance as a Dataverse, and the field service environment with the Dataverse. Is the relation only data sharing or there more? Actually, I'm not getting that question. So Penu has asked one question in the chat window. So I will try to answer it if I get some clarity on that question. Um, Power BI series. Or as if you can see any other question in the chat window, let me know because I'm just scrolling down. I'm not. Uh,
Okay. There is a question by Maninda asking about hierarchy security. Is it similar to row level security?
Hierarchy security. Okay, so hierarchy, as I mentioned, like two type of hierarchy security are available here, as a manager and via position. So here it provide the providing a security profile, like if you have configured the hierarchy security, what happen here is if you are logging in your Dataverse table, you are able to see as a manager, you are able to see your developers or whoever the team who is working with you with the depth level, like how many depth level you wanted to you have set up over there. Based on that, you will be able to set see those records. So yes, it is kind of RLS, like row level, record level security, we can say. But in Power BI, have you mostly used the row level security, this kind of thing. So we can obviously relate that concept with this RLS.
And just to reiterate that, Maninda, so field level security is the equivalent of row level security in the Dataverse, okay? And then the hierarchy security is to inherit permissions. And the main benefit behind that, Maninda, is so that you're not creating duplicate security roles for similar positions. Why create a new security role for a manager where you can provide a hierarchy security where the manager inherits that security role? But yes, so great, some great questions here. Question by Tony. So once we have created a data flow, the same also can be used in Power BI Service Desktop. And then he says, means in Power BI, I can directly use it without the need to edit anything anymore. So Tony, my question would be, what do you mean by edit anything anymore? I think what you mean by is that the data, once the data flow is set up, you don't have to do anything. Would you like to contribute to the way data flow populates data in Power BI? Is that okay, Druvin?
Yeah, so actually, to add one thing, Raz, here, like if we talk about the data flow in specifically in Power BI. So if let's say I created my data flow inside here, so what happen here is I can consume that data flow directly into Power BI desktop. On top of that, I haven't checked actually, but all the modifications you already did. But let's say there are some more modification you wanted to do on top of that data. You can create your let's say own custom columns inside the Power BI in order to perform some calculations and all. So those things you can do, but I'm not very sure about the editing that you are doing in the Power Query with the data flow in Dataverse. So that is something I need to check. But of course, consumption, and the additional column creation by loading the data flow, that is possible in Power BI. All right. Okay, so I think I'm good. If any more question comes up, I will just reply in the chat window.
Excellent. Okay. So finally, Pinu has asked a question regarding I have created a Dynamics customer engagement instance as a Dataverse and a field service environment with the Dataverse. Is this relation only for the data sharing, or is there more? An example of the security model created in field service is applicable in the instance. So, guys, this is a very important question. In fact, this clarification is probably one of the most important things you'll take away today. Okay, and what essentially Pina was asking is, the Dataverse is used across. What Druven has shown is that you can create your own power apps using the common data model with the data model that's provided when you can select Dataverse as a data source. It provides a data structure, doesn't it? Druven just showed it then and there. But what about where does Dynamics customer service and field service, how does that play? Well, the best way I would describe that is that you've got a central common data model which contains the core entities, and then you can add to that, okay? And that's part of Power Platform. You don't have to pay any Dynamics license for that. Now, when you're spinning up a Dynamics 365 customer service or field service or marketing solution, that's also using the Dataverse. So the next question is, well, what's the difference then? Well, the difference is that there are different solution layers. So I will like to elaborate on this in the next session or the session after. If we get some time, I will try and show you an example. But essentially, they're all residing within the same Dataverse. So you can spin up a CE solution, and then you could also deploy field service and marketing in the same instance. Yeah, because remember, a Power Platform tenant can have multiple instances of of environments, which each one contains one Dataverse. So if we're assuming, Pino, and maybe you could answer this, but if if you're in your question asking it's all taking place in the same instance, in the same environment, that means the C instance and the field service instance and any power ups are within the same, deployed as a solution within the same instance, then yes, they're all sitting within the same database, which means that the security model is shared for all of them. And that would mean that if you've got a security role for a contact, then that same security role could also be applied to field services if you were to assign permissions. I hope that's answered your question, Pinu. If I get some time, I will try and delve more deeper into that by showing you an example myself. I'll bring up an environment and show that to you. Okay. Right. Okay. So that's it. So, Driven, any final comments or any announcements you'd like to make before we finish off your session?
No, I think I'm good, and see you soon in upcoming Power community events. And always allowed to speak here. So lots of good question comes up here. So thank you so much, everyone.
Fantastic. So that was the prolific Dhruv Shaw. He's been making waves in Power Platform, covering all the topics and features, the new features in the Power Platform. It's really great also to see Dhruv stepping into the Dataverse, into the arena of the Dataverse, because many Power Apps developers and users, the community, there's a huge community around Power Platform and Power Apps and Microsoft 365 that have still yet to actually start using the Dataverse. They're still using SharePoint as data sources or other sources as data sources. Druvin is obviously ventured into the Dataverse, and thank you, Druvin, for sharing your experiences, sharing that insight into the Dataverse. It's an excellent introduction for those who are new to the Dataverse. So once again, thank you, Druvin, for that excellent introduction.
Thanks a
Okay.
lot.